It's a big day here at the Peru boat launch just south of Plattsburgh because it's time to rededicate the Bluff Point Lighthouse on Valcour Island after an almost 3-year restoration and renovation project done by professional craftsmen and volunteers alike. All very interesting people, but I want you to meet one person in particular. Her name is Kim, and she can trace her family heritage all the way back to the very first celebration of the lighthouse back in 1873. This is sort of your family's lighthouse in a way.
We feel that way, yes.
What's the connection?
My great-great-grandparents were the lighthouse keepers in the 1800s.
Your great-great-great-grandfather, is that right?
My great-great-grandmother and grandfather.
Great-great-grandmother and grandfather.
Right.
And he ran it because he was asked to, because he was a Civil War vet?
That's correct. He was.
And what happened to him in the Civil War?
He was shot and wounded in the side at Irish Bend, and he still actually wanted to keep fighting, but he couldn't ride a horse, so they said that he needed to retire from the military. But he did serve till 1865.
Herworth returned to his home in Redford, New York, but soon was given the job of lighthouse keeper at the Bluff Point Light in appreciation of his service and because of his war wounds. Along with his wife Mary, the two settled into the lighthouse and began raising a family.
What happened to your great-great-grandfather?
He finally died of his injuries in 1881.
And he died in the lighthouse?
In the lighthouse, yes.
Who took over?
His wife, my great-great-grandmother, Mary Jane.
Mary took over.
She did.
So that made her one of the first, or among the first lighthouse keepers in the United States.
Yes, that were women, yes.
How long did she work at the lighthouse?
Until 1902, and she died in 1903.
Kim was really excited to see the restored lighthouse, so he hopped on board one of the courtesy shuttles and headed for Valcour Island.
This is the way your relatives got to the island?
They actually had their own rowboat, too, that they rowed back and forth.
So if they needed some supplies, that's a half-a-mile channel here.
And the kids to school, too.
And the kids went to school on the mainland.
They did.
This is kind of a homecoming for you, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Happy to see the renovation.
The suspense was prolonged a little bit more as we walked the several hundred yards up to the bluff, which is crowned by the lighthouse.
Look at the people.
It's amazing. It's wonderful.
This
see everybody.
is incredible. Boy,
So glad everybody's enjoying.
great-great-grandma and great-great-grandpa would be real pleased
I hope
with
so.
this kind of visitation, huh?
I would think so.
And now, Kim, I get to say something that I don't get to say very often. Welcome to your ancestral home.
Thank you. It looks beautiful.
A lighthouse.
It's amazing.
How cool is that?
It's very cool.
No, I mean, this is fine. It's okay. That's great. Okay, good. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine the whole family in here?
Kim was thrilled with the restoration. Good for another 100 years, she told me. And then we rode back to the mainland, for Kim had one more visit to make this day, to a small cemetery just up the road.
Why do you come here?
We like to stop here before we go over to honor my great-great-grandparents for all they did for their country and for us.
That's a nice thing that you do.
Yeah. Well,
Do you know where they're buried?
They are. They're buried right over here.
Right over here. Look at this. So who am I looking at here?
So Major William Herworth, that was my great-great-grandfather.
And Mary.
Mary was his wife, and after he died, she took over as one of the few women lighthouse keepers.
On the lake, or
On the
anywhere
lake.
for that
Anywhere,
matter.
yes.
And then there's a small grave over here. Who's that?
That's their daughter Clara. She died when she was 3, right before they moved into the lighthouse.
How many kids did they have?
They had 8 children in all. Yeah.
And how many kids they have in the lighthouse?
7 of them.
See,
And 2 were born there.
Really?
Yeah.
See, there's not a lot to do in a lighthouse in the middle of winter, you know.
No.
Right.
No.
Well, this is lovely.
Yes,
These flowers you brought for them?
they are. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Me too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on the behalf of the history of the lighthouse and the whole North Country, really, thank you for what you do, keeping it alive.
For people near here on Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Derek Muirden.
People Near Here on Mountain Lake Journal is made possible through the support of the law firm of Stafford, Owens, Pillar, Murnane, Kelleher, and Trombley.